Ladies and gentlemen, the ceremony will begin shortly. Please silence your cell phones and please take your seats. Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of today's presiding officer, retired Air Force Colonel and NASA astronaut, Rex J. Walheim, I'd like to welcome you to today's retirement ceremony for Major Albert Farrell Meza, culminating 20 years of faithful and honorable service to our country and the United States Air Force. I'm Captain Chris Jordan, and I'll be the master of ceremonies today. We are pleased to have with us today a number of distinguished guests. Major Meza's wife of 15 years, Griselda Manny Meza, their children, Yulia, 14 years old, Christian, 12 years old, Diego, 8 years old, and Dalia, 6 years old. Major Meza's mother, Ms. Dolores Farrell Sanders, and father, Mr. Alberto Meza Jr., Major Meza's mother and father-in-law, Mr. Roberto Mani and Mrs. Antonia Mani, Major Meza's sister and her husband, Diana and Victor Zertucci, and his brother, Matthew Meza Sr. Major Meza's wife, Griselda, has 10 brothers and sisters. Please welcome them and their families, Sonia Rosales, Gloria Garza, Alberto Mani, and Pedro Orozco. There are a number of other close family members, NASA employees, and dear friends in our audience today. Thank you all for joining us to celebrate this special occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party, the presentation of the colors by the Army Junior ROTC Color Guard of Clearbrook High School, and the playing of the national anthem and the invocation.
Forward. Arc. 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 Oh, you're right. Hold. Left. Face. Carry. Colors. Reset. Arc. Thank you to the Clearbrook High School Army GRTC Color Guard.
Major Meza's cousin, Mr. Brandon Farrell, will now come forward to deliver the invocation.
First, I'd like to thank the Space Center to basically let Albert Meza do this ceremony here. But I also like to thank all the military that protects this country as well. The biggest thing that I could do to honor somebody is pray for them. And so whenever Albert asked me to do this, I thought it was a huge honor. And I thank you, Albert, for that. Okay. So let's go ahead and pray real quick. Father, I just ask you just to have your hand on the Space Center and on the military, and thank you for them, Father. Thank you for giving them guidance, protection, and thank you for bringing Albert home. Thank you for letting them retire. Thank you for letting them have a family that's beautiful and wonderful, Father. I just ask you just to touch him in every way, God. Touch him in every way to bless everything he does from here on out, and let his family be blessed as well. Let him be the man of God that I know he could be. Let him be blessed immensely, Father. So God, I just thank you for this time that we have with him. And I thank you for the many years that we still have with him. So I trust you, Father, to guide him, give him wisdom, give him knowledge, give him strength, and have your hand on him in everything he does. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Colonel Rex J. Wall.
Thank you, Captain Jordan. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all today to this wonderful occasion where we celebrate the conclusion of Albert's great 20-year career in the United States Air Force. And this is where we get to say thanks to Albert and his family for their service to our country. Because as you know, although only Albert wears a uniform, his success was made possible by the support of his family. Now, Captain Jordan already mentioned all the folks who are here. I just want to just say again, welcome to Albert's wife, Griselda, and Yulia, who couldn't be here today. She's in school, a good student. And then Christian, I hear you're 7th grade and good football player, huh? Are you guys still undefeated? All right, way to go. Okay.
Say it like you mean it.
That's right.
Say it like you mean it.
And Diego, you're 8 now in 3rd grade, another soccer player, huh? And Cub Scouts, very good. And Dahlia, 6, huh? Excellent. And another soccer player and a Girl Scout and enjoys gymnastics. So it's a pleasure to see you all here, and to the rest of the family, thanks for coming out. Albert's story is very much intertwined with his family life, so I'd like to first talk about their journey together, and then go to some of the more specifics of Albert's career. Albert grew up here in Houston and majored in mechanical engineering at University of Houston. And that's actually where I met him when he was just a student at the University of Houston. I was giving a talk at UH, and met Albert, and he said he was interested in the Air Force. He said, can we meet sometime and talk? And so we met right across the street over at Fuddruckers, and I remember very well talking about the Air Force, and he was very excited to enter the Air Force. And so it was a neat opportunity to get to know him way back then. It still boggles my mind that this young kid 20 years ago has all of a sudden made it all the way through the Air Force and is retiring today. So it's a pretty amazing journey I've got to watch. And now Griselda was also a mechanical engineering student at a neighboring school, Rice University. And they knew each other as they were both members of the same student organization, the Society of Mexican-American Engineers and Scientists, MIAS. And the two chapters would meet regularly, and they had a chance to go to conferences and scholarship fairs together. In college, they would see each other often, and an interesting start to their relationship. As Albert admits, Griselda didn't exactly take to Albert right off the bat there. So, and why? He's always smiling. It can be serious sometimes. So that was one of the things she didn't understand. Why was he always smiling? So, but years later, they would meet again. This time, she was drawn by that welcoming smiles. Everybody knows to appreciate with Albert. And they began a friendship, and soon afterwards, they started dating long distance. Griselda was working as an engineer at Houston, and Albert was an engineer as first Air Force assignment at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. This went on for about 2 years. It's difficult to have a long distance relationship, but they managed. They saw each other about once every 6 weeks until one day he took her to the quaint little town in Florida of St. Augustine. And at sunset near the picturesque Castillo de San Marcos, he proposed to her. And she was caught completely surprised, but said yes, and she accepted. So about that time, though, Albert received his orders for his second assignment, and the Air Force moved him to, of all places, right here in Houston. So one thing that's interesting of watching his career is how well the Air Force was able to manage his career so that he could work out things with family and the Air Force, and they intertwined very, very well, so that worked out great. It was amazing that the Air Force was able to do that for Albert, but it was important because Griselda decided to quit her engineering job and begin medical school here in Houston. She wanted to be a doctor, and so she started a 4-year program at the same time that the Air Force changed its policy. They used to move us around every 3 years or so, but now they did it for 4 years. So Albert worked here at NASA while Griselda completed her med school. And here in their hometown of Houston, they had their wedding, their family and friends. I'm sure a lot of you were there, and they became parents to Yulia and Christian. When Griselda's med school was complete, she accepted a residency program, and this is where it worked out perfectly, again, near Washington, D.C., because as an Air Force officer, it's very easy and almost required to spend some time in Washington, D.C., so Albert spent his fair share of time there. And when he finished, she accepted the residency program in Washington, D.C., and the Air Force gave him his third assignment at the Air Force Research Lab in Arlington, Virginia. So when Griselda finished her residency, Yulia and Christian were now 7 and 5 by this time, and they decided to have another baby. Diego was born in Fort Belvoir in Virginia, so he's the Virginian of the family. Family is obviously very important to Albert and Griselda, and when it came time to move on to his 4th assignment, the Air Force asked him to ask for volunteers to instruct in ROTC at several universities. And guess where he came? Of course, right back here at the University of Houston. He grabbed that assignment and was able to bring his family here for a few more years. Yulia and Christian were close in age and close companions. And Diego, being 5 years younger, they wanted him to have a close sibling also. So after trying, they finally gave up, and except they only have 3 children. Little did they know. Because the Air Force then sent Albert to an assignment in Afghanistan. And this is where the rubber meets the road, and it's the time where you really have to pay your service to the military, and where it really takes a lot out of the service member and the family. And so that's where Albert had to take his time in Afghanistan. And it was a year-long assignment, and he was sitting in the terminal in Norfolk Naval Air Station with his next stop going over to Afghanistan. He received a text message from Griselda, and it said that she was pregnant. Now, it was obviously too late to rearrange the assignment or change that, so he took the year-long assignment, but allowed 2 weeks for a leave, usually halfway through the assignment, but he decided to make it 9 months through for obvious reasons. And so he came home, and he was on his 15-hour flight home from Kabul, Afghanistan, and Griselda went into labor. And he landed in the United States not knowing if his wife and brand new baby Dahlia were waiting for him in the hospital. And now the family was complete, so now they had their 4 kids they wanted. And Albert returned to Afghanistan, finished his tour there, and returned home and finished his assignment at ROTC. Next, they sent the family back to the Pentagon, and he assigned Headquarters Air Force Director for Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance. He enjoyed the intelligence mission so much that he took a follow-on assignment in the intelligence community, and this turned out to be Albert's last assignment in the Air Force, rounding out a 20-year career. Albert learned of a program called DoD Skillbridge, and he told me about it. I think it's a great program where service members are allowed to ease their transition to civilian life by taking an assignment pretty much anywhere they want to go. They're kind of free labor to an organization that will take them on. And Albert picked here at Houston, and we are very, very fortunate to have him continue working here at Houston. So that made that obvious. So with that, I'd like to concentrate for a few minutes on Albert's specific accomplishments in the military, and also describe some of the awards he won, because he was a decorated officer. He's had a storied career here. So his first assignment was at the 45th Space Wing in Cape Canaveral, and he led 50-person government and contractor team for the launch of the GPS satellites. Now, you guys are familiar with GPS satellites. They're absolutely critical to everything we do in life, and he was responsible for the launch of 5 of those satellites, valued at $60 million. And for that work, he was awarded the Air Force Commendation Medal, and for the launch of those Global Positioning System satellites, totaling $460 million. And in response to the terrorist attacks of September 11th, he developed personnel and infrastructure defensive plans for GPS satellite processing facilities, and dedicated hundreds of hours of effort to the wing battle staff. So from there, he moved down here, what we talked about, the Johnson Space Center. where he launched 23 payloads to low Earth orbit and ISS aboard 4 space shuttles and 11 Russian space agency missions. And for that work, he was awarded the Joint Service Medal, and that was awarded for his leadership during support for the STS-116. That was one of our space shuttle missions. He superbly executed shift lead duties for a team of 18 government and contractor employees around the clock and supported the successful launch and deployment of 3 critical Department of Defense payloads comprising the Space Test Program H-2 complement. He also received an award for his work on the various payloads he launched, where he trained 11 astronaut crews and flight control teams in the proper execution of experiments exploring missile defense, space situation awareness, hyperspectral imaging, atmospheric modeling, and satellite formation flying. So down here, it was great for me to have a chance to interact with Albert again and see him again. It was great to have him back here in Houston. But all things come to an end, and he headed back up to Arlington, Virginia for the Office of Scientific Research, where he managed a $600 million budget and the formulation of research to support the Air Force goals of control and maximum utilization of airspace and cyberspace. Very important work. So after in April 2008, he headed up to over to Arlington, Virginia with the the Air Force Office of Scientific Research, where he did scientific engineering advancements from around the world and enhanced them for our use, and also was the Chief of Security Logistics for Information Management. For his work in Arlington, Virginia there, he was awarded the Joint Service Achievement Medal, his first Oak Leaf cluster. And he was working as a case research officer for the Office of Administrative Review of the Detention of Enemy Combatants in Arlington, Virginia. And he summarized thousands of intelligence documents and provided critical background and updated intelligence information, which significantly aided in identifying the history cases he contained. Some very important work with our detainment of enemy combatants. So then, of course, as we said, he came back here to Air Force ROTC, where he was recruiting flight commander and then the commandant of cadets. A very important position in our ROTC department. So I remember our commandant of cadets at Berkeley when I was there. And so while he was there, he earned 2 medals. The first one was for his work in Afghanistan. He had said he's distinguished himself by exceptionally meritorious service as the Secretary of the General Staff, Combined Joint Interagency Task Force 435 at Kabul, Afghanistan. And it says Major Meza's insights in analyzing complex detention challenges and formulating senior leaders' strategic communication products were invaluable in ensuring the successful transition of detention and justice operations in Afghanistan. And also he earned the Meritorious Service Medal for his work in the Air Force ROTC, where his exceptional leadership, professional skill, and constant efforts were essential to the successful training and commissioning of 28 United States Air Force second lieutenants. So as work goes on, those lieutenants that he commissioned, they are modeling their behavior on what they learned from Major Meza, and that's important that his legacy goes on those lieutenants as they go on their career, and I'm sure he probably keeps contact with several of them and ensures his work is not done from Air Force ROTC. And also as operations officer, he secured tuition and fees covering for 10% of the detachment's freshman class, doubling the number of cadets on scholarship. And boy, they appreciate that, because you guys know how expensive college is these days. So from ROTC, he went back up to Fort Belvoir and worked as a chief experiments and demonstrations and the program manager of NGA cloud migration. And then he came back here, of course, to the Johnson Space where we are today. So with that, I just want to say thanks to Albert for his 20-year career and for the service you made to our country and the service your family made to our country. It was not without sacrifice. I really admire people who were able to go overseas and work over there. And as an astronaut, I also appreciate the work you did for the space shuttle program. Very important work, Albert. And so now we'd like to do for you what you did for us as astronauts. You made sure that we knew our jobs and that we came home safely. The equipment we operate was safe. And so now, at the conclusion of your 20-year career, we're going to do the same for you. We'll bring you home safely to your family for the conclusion of a great career. So thanks for that, and with that, let's go ahead and get started.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. Colonel Walheim will now present Major Meza with his retirement award. Citation of orders. Citation to accompany the award of the Defense Meritorious Service Medal, 1st Oak Leaf Cluster. Major Albert F. Meza, United States Air Force, distinguished himself by exceptionally meritorious service as Chief of Geospatial Intelligence Engineering Solutions, Enterprise Engineering Office, Chief of Experiments and Demonstrations, Mission Readiness Division, National Geospatial Intelligence Agency from June 2015 to December 2019. During this period, Major Meza expertly evaluated 240 small commercial spacecraft, improving persistent target tracking for the intelligence community by 28%. Additionally, he championed a $956,000 automatic identification effort that delivered enhanced products for Operation Inherent Resolve. Furthermore, Major Meza migrated 14 programs to the cloud, accelerating the delivery of imagery to an analyst, which sped up support to crisis operations. Finally, he led a $990,000 material science and technology project that revealed the strength of underground facilities, enabling warfighters to select the right munition to eliminate enemy targets. The distinctive accomplishments of Major Meza culminate a distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect great credit upon himself, the United States Air Force, and the Department of Defense. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the posting of the retirement orders. Attention orders. The Department of the Air Force, Washington, D.C. has issued special orders Alpha Charlie 003403 to Major Albert Farrell Meza. Effective 30 November 2019, you are relieved from active duty and retired effective 1 December 2019 in the grade of Major by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. Colonel Wallheim will now present Major Meza with his retirement certificate. It reads, on your retirement from federal service, I wish to convey to you my personal thanks and appreciation for the many years of dedicated service that you have given to our nation. Signed, Vice Admiral Robert D. Sharp. Colonel Wallheim will now present Major Meza's wife with a certificate of appreciation. Ms. Meza. Here reads, Certificate of Appreciation. On the occasion of your husband's retirement, I would like to extend to you my personal thanks and appreciation for the support you have given him. Please accept my best wishes for happiness and success in your retirement together. Signed, Vice Admiral Robert D. Sharp. Ladies and gentlemen, I present Major Albert F. Meza, United States Air Force, retired.
So many emotions. So many people I want to thank right now, and I don't even know where to start. So let's start with thanking God for putting us here. God and His Word. Can you all hear me in the back, or are we good, or do I need the mic? So thank you, Colonel Wallheim. Thank you for doing this for me. Presiding officer, that's a big deal. He's a senior leader here at NASA, so this is a big chunk out of his schedule, and it just goes to show you what importance that this is for we Air Force people. Astronaut too. Wow. Peppered in the crowd, you'll see some other astronauts out there also. They're kind of incognito. In fact, being here at NASA, you know, we're all dressed up, and we could be standing next to an astronaut, but all the tourists you see out here, they point at us and say, look, an astronaut. And the real astronaut is next to us. In regular plain clothes. They're like, let's see. Thank you to Mr. Lamb. He's in the back. Sir, could you raise your hand? It's because of him that I'm here today. I belong to a unit in Arlington, Virginia, and the original plan for retirement was to bring my family home, have them start school here in Houston, and I would stay in Virginia until November. And Mr. Lamb signed the agreement that brought me here, and I'm happy, so happy all my family and friends could save money on the airplane trips you would have to go to Virginia. So this is great. This is great. I know I'm going to forget people, so don't. I'm sorry about that. Family who've been there for me the whole time. I can't thank you enough. Captain Jordan, thank you for narrating. Captain Chang, thank you for proffering. Major Carroll, where are you? Thank you for being behind the scenes. Thank you all for putting this on. We couldn't do this without you. And Space Center Houston. Wow, I mean, what a cooler, could there be a cooler place to have a retirement ceremony? Amazing. Let's see. I know I'm leaving somebody out, I'm sorry, but I'll move on. Air Force, United States Air Force. Wow. 20 years ago, I was wondering, what am I going to do when I grow up? And I got this crazy idea. I'm an engineering major, and I'm in Houston, and most of us go to the oil and gas field, and I got this crazy idea to not do that, do something else. What? I wasn't sure, but I've had some good jobs before, dream jobs in the oil industry. Jobs that can make any engineer happy as could be to be there. And I also had a co-op at Walt Disney, Imagineering. Anybody heard of Walt Disney? I was an engineer, and I was planning, we were designing those theme parks that we all want to go to, and some of us have been to. And those people love their job, love it. And I wanted the same passion for whatever it is I chose to do for my life. And that's when I chose the United States Air Force. Second best decision I ever made. First decision, right here. Wow, it's been an amazing ride. I wanted to prepare remarks so I would not forget anything, but actually Dave Brown up here in the second row said, those things are best spoken from the heart. So rather than making this script, I just wanted to tell you the story. Done a lot of stuff, cool stuff, launching GPS satellites, putting stuff on the space shuttle. In fact, hang out after the ceremony because we're all going to go inside, and we're going to go inside that space shuttle right there, okay? Okay, don't go back to work. Go inside of it. Cool stuff, cool stuff. U.S. Air Force, so best Air Force in the world. And I'm not just saying that because, I'm part of it, but we dwarf the second biggest Air Force in the world. Dwarf it. And our technology is, far advanced. And I wasn't even thinking of all that when I chose it, but it's the way it is. How? People. We've got amazing people. Colonel, there's another retired colonel back there who's in plain clothes in the Air Force. Amazing people that do amazing things. We weren't always that way. In fact, I heard somebody mention before that I like my trivia and I love history. World War I, that was probably our first big air war. Does anybody know how many aircraft we had going into World War I?
About 30 maybe.
About 30? Anybody else? Zero. The number was 0. We weren't ready for it. We were not ready for it. We flew aircraft, but they belonged to other countries. So after that, we had to figure out, hey, we need to be ready. And look at the Air Force we have now. We've flown thousands of aircraft into combat, thousands, and we're ready. And we weren't always that way, but we are now, and that's awesome. That's what makes the U.S. Air Force awesome. And how are we awesome? My theory is best country in the world. You can debate all you want, but my daughter, who couldn't be here today, she's at school, and I don't want to put any undue stress on her. She says, I think it wouldn't be too difficult to live somewhere else in the world. Why does everybody say it's so easy here in the United States? And I said, well, Yulia, when I was in Afghanistan, there was a woman, she was a teacher, and she said when the Taliban came through, they said, stop teaching or I'm going to kill you and your whole family. And she said the choice was easy. I stopped teaching. And I said, Yulia, that's why we are the best country. Freedom, we got it right here. And we'll never stop with it. Never. Question right here in the front row. U.S. is the strongest country. U.S. is the strongest. My son is commenting on how Switzerland is. We can take Switzerland, I'm sure. Not that we would. Best Air Force, best country, hands down, and how fortunate we are to be here. I'm glad you all came. I would like to make some presentations. My daughter Yulia, she could not be here, but my other 3 children are here. Come on up. Christian, Diego, Dalia. The colonel gave me a medal today, and what people don't really see is the sacrifices the families made. I wasn't even here for this little girl's birth. My sister-in-law, Sony, where are you, Sony? Where are you? Is she here? Is she here? Not here yet, okay. She took my wife to the hospital while I was trying to get back. And what a fail as a father, but family was here, and we're sticking together. Hold the medals so that so this is the.
You can hold that right there.
Angle it down.
Good. Lower it a little bit. Good. One more time. Hold that. Little mas.
So the military child medal. I want everybody to know. You can put them on afterwards, and I want you to have a gift. And you can open this gift right now, okay? Don't worry, he's not running away. He'll give them back. My father was in the Army. Where are you, Dad? Recording. My father was in the Army. My grandfather was in the Army. And I wonder, what did they do? What did they do during their service? And I've talked to them about it, and they told me a little bit, Germany and Alaska, and I wanted to give something to my children, something they could keep for their lives. And why don't you hold the gift so the photographer can get a nice photo?
Back this way.
And you can open them now, and I want you to open them now. And you'll see. Have a seat. A photo frame? That's a good guess. That's a good guess. Why is it flat? So you can dig into it. Please open them now, and guests, please come and check out the gift that I got my children. If I had something like this from my father or my grandfather who was in the Army, I would be elated for all of my life. But come check it out whenever you have a chance. Finally, my wife. Best decision ever.
Yeah, it's a photo frame.
Show them how to turn it on.
Sorry. Diego, why don't you stand up and hold it so everybody can see. Show. And,
It's a book.
it's a book. That's right.
Right here, guys.
Let me start with
Show it to the team. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Open it up. Have a seat and open it up. Okay, where was I? My wife, please come up. do I even give? There's nothing. There's nothing that I can give to your vote.
Who is the photo group?
One more over. I got you.
Of a picture doing push-up.
You are welcome to open this right now also. I can't even begin to describe. I could not have done all this without you and our beautiful families. I said I knew I was going to forget somebody earlier as I was thanking everybody. My mother. She put the drill sergeants to shame. I wasn't worried one bit about going to boot camp. Come on up, Mom. I got some, got a little bit. Tough woman right here, tough woman. In fact, 90 days of basic training, and at the end, I'm like, that was cake. What are you doing? My sister, come on up. Come on up. Come on. Best big sister. Excuse me. Question in the front row?
Did you put any B-22s in the book?
There's not. B-17 number. Yeah, check them out. In fact, when I joined in November of 1999, right after Halloween, and my little nephew Jacob here, raise your hand. He was about this big. Right after Halloween, he had a Power Rangers costume. And he says, I wasn't living in Houston at the time. I flew home so I could swear into the Air Force right here in Houston at the MEPS downtown. And Jacob was still wearing his Halloween costume. And it was a Power Rangers costume. And he was so proud, the only kid around wearing a costume. Because it was like a week after. He said to me, I remember this, you don't have a costume. And his dad, Victor, says, he will soon. What else? Am I leaving anything else out? Yes, I am. My beautiful daughter, Dahlia. Dahlia, put the book down and come up here. I've got 2 daughters, Yulia, who's at school today, and I did not want to stress her at all and make her take the day off. But Dahlia is here. My beautiful little girl. There's one for Yulia here. Maybe we have to Photoshop her out somehow. Don't worry. Let's see. What else? I thanked you. Thank you all for coming. This means so much to me. Thank you all for coming. I talked to you about how great our country is, how great our Air Force is, how great our people are. And you didn't come here, you came here for me, sure, but you came here because you believe in greatness too. Okay, so whatever it is you do, I chose the Air Force, some of us chose other paths. Whatever it is you do, choose greatness, okay? Make the world better. Make the Air Force better, make the U.S. better, make the world better. Thank you for coming. So all this stuff, going on, I did forget something. My wife was worried about what she could do for me. Don't I get you anything? I'm like, honey, you did. It's right here. and you love the gift that I got for you so much that I'm going to hang it up at our house. So come on up and pose. The gift that you got for me. Why don't you all turn around? Yeah, come close. I wasn't expecting all this, only this one. Please have a seat. While kids, you help me open this one. All right. There we go. So I had no idea about what I was getting into here with the Air Force. And you know, it turns out, I mean, I really loved every assignment I've had.
You got a ball.
And we go to, it's a box, everybody. And we go to Air Force bases. We have officers clubs, and they're full of history, full of history. And I've always what I wanted, what I've seen in those officers clubs. And, honey, thank you so much. Beautiful office in our new home, and it's gonna go right up there, right? This is a 1917 World War I propeller. I've always wondered what Yes.
Here we go, on two, one more hand, and two for that, do one more. I got
Okay, I think that's it.
No.
It's your part.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the formal portion of today's ceremony. Please rise for the playing of the Air Force Song.